You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Hi, this is Peter, and here are some initial reactions to Episode 1, the Red Directive. My initial reaction was very positive for Episode 1. I haven't had a chance to see number 2 yet, but number 1 was great and was a great setup for the season. My favorite parts was the scene at the end when Kovich explained to Michael the more details about the Red Directive. So the connection to TNG's The Chase was great. That was actually one of my favorite episodes from TNG, so it was nice to see that thread being picked up in this season of Discovery. I didn't really have too many crash and burn moments. Probably the only one was the quips that Michael had when she was on top of the spaceship. The Easter eggs, my favorite after the chase was probably seeing the synth and Stamets referencing Alton Soon. What I think will happen next will just be continuing working on the treasure hunt. What I don't want to happen is that I noticed in recent live action Trek series, there was a lull and loss of momentum in the middle of the season, so I just hope that doesn't happen in season 5. That's about it from here. Thank you, and live long and prosper.
Well, hello, and thank you for that lovely little video message from BQN patron Peter, who could not join us today. Peter was on last week. Hopefully we'll see him again as this season progresses. But hello, welcome back to Let's Fly, listeners and viewers. My name is Davey. You may recognize me from other BQN programs like the Trexperts Quiz and the Bargain Bin Gamer. And I'm so excited to be back again for episode 2 of Let's Fly. This is the BQN's exclusive limited run series where each week we will recap each new episode of Star Trek Discovery's final season. So, spoiler alert, if you have not seen the first 2 episodes, which aired in the last sort of 48 hours across the world, go away. I don't normally say that, but we are going to be discussing major plot points, spoilers, reactions, all that kind of stuff. So this is one of the, if you're watching live now, maybe go and watch the episode, then come back and watch the replay or listen to the audio podcast later. Because we are going to have our BQN hosts and Patreon subscribers join us to deep dive with our YouTube, Facebook, and podcast audiences into just everything that we loved and maybe didn't love so much about the most recent episode of the final season. But what's really exciting about this show is that you can be actually here on the panel with me. For as little as $1 a month, you can join us on the panel as a BQN Network patron, because this is an extension of a patron kind of exclusive that we do once a month called The Hive Mind, where we all just get together and chat Star Trek, because what's better than that? But Let's Fly is going to be a special show where any of our network patrons who join for as little as $1 a month can actually be here on the show with me each month. Or join us in the live chat. We're really, really excited to have a live audience, and I can see a few people. I see my good friend Haven in there at the moment too, although I believe Haven hasn't seen the episode and has just heard my spoiler alert and has gone off to watch it before we continue any further. So yeah, remember, if you want to be on the show, like actually here on camera with me, go to patreon.com/BQN, sign up as a patron for as little as $1 a month, and you will get the link every week to join me here on the show. And anyone else, please jump into the live chat and share your views. So I'm really excited today. I am joined by two BQN network patrons who I'm going to bring in to join me right now. We've got the fabulous Jim McMahon, and we've also got Mahendran. Hello, welcome to the show. Jim, how you going?
I'm going good. I'm excited to talk Trek and disco.
Excellent. That's what we want to hear. And Mahendran, how are you going? First time on Let's Fly?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm excited to talk Trek. I just watched the 2 episodes. I'm looking forward to chatting about it. So
That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to hear. A bit of Trek talk never goes awry. So, all right, let's settle in for this, because these first 2 episodes were a wild ride. I watched them last night. So it's Saturday morning here in Melbourne, Australia. Friday night after work, had a few friends around. We had wine, we had pizza, we had peanut M&Ms, and had a little bit of a dorky viewing party. I may need to watch again, because by the end of that second episode, I had a little bit of red wine, so I may rely on the two of you to refresh me on a few of the plot points. But what about yourselves, Jim? How did you watch the first episode? Did you have a party, or were you watching it by yourself? What did you do?
No, I watched both episodes by myself.
That's fair enough. And what about you, Mahendran? Did you watch by yourself, or did you do anything special for the first episode?
yeah, actually I watched it on the flight here to Florida, both of them. So yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you actually watched it on
Yeah,
the plane. Okay. Wow. That's a way to must have been an interesting way to experience. I mean, they're 2 pretty epic episodes. Did you have to contain your excitement on the flight? Were people around you like, what is wrong with this guy?
Yeah, I'm really tired. I got up at 3 o'clock this morning. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, exhausted. Yeah.
Well, we're
Yeah.
glad that you can
so
join us.
I'm glad to watch it. I was pretty happy, but yeah, I think, yeah,
I think that's a hotel
it was
room
good. It was
that
good.
you're in at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us, having been up for so long. We feel very honored to have you with us. So, all right. So let's just dive straight into, I'd love to hear what some of your just initial reactions. So you've seen the Red Directive and Under the Twin Moons. Mahendran, I'll start with you. Just blurt it all out. What did you think watching first up?
Yeah, I thought, Red Directive was very interesting. I think I like the parallel between, Burnham and the captain of the other ship, through both episodes, really, and how, but I think at the same time too, he's just I feel like Burnham has more of a sense of, I don't know. I feel like there isn't there's his choices in the Red Directive. I forgot the character's name, but
Rayna.
I feel like Rayna. Okay, yeah, there. Yeah. Thank you. Very valid. So thank you so much. But Rayna, he, I think. I don't feel like they're similar to Burnham when she made the choices with the Klingons at the beginning, Mm-hmm. I think it was just 2 very different things that they're similar, but not. But also just, with that first episode, just, I don't know. I felt like, yeah. Did Booker come back in that one too? Because they were was that the second one? I forgot.
Yeah. No, Booker was back in both episodes. I was waiting for her to say that Booker was all of a sudden going to get a Starfleet commission and become her first officer, and I'm so glad that did not.
That's what I thought too. I thought that was
that didn't happen. Also,
Booker was going to be the first officer too, but this guy, it's cool.
Yeah, look, and Rayna's interesting, and you're doing well to remember them after having been on a flight all day. But I was the same. Like I was like, oh, I've got to host a show on this in the morning, and there was a lot of new character names to remember. I need to write all of these down before I finish this last glass of wine and pass out. But yeah, no, there was some interesting. I think they were sort of trying to establish, all right, here's someone who's going to challenge Burnham, because they needed that first officer that wasn't, Saru, who's become that confidant, that someone who's going to sort of agitate a little bit. And, maybe it'd be interesting, because when they first started filming this, I think they had an idea that maybe they were going to get another season. So maybe they were trying to set Rayna up as a little bit more of a permanent character, but who knows? Jim, what about
that's
you?
what I kind of had the feeling too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Jim, what about you? What were some of your initial reactions?
I actually enjoyed the episodes. Although I did when the first episode Red Directive started, I did kind of find it hard to get into at first, but once I did get into it, which was about halfway through, I really enjoyed it. I just thought the plot was, at least for me, was hard to follow at first, but like I said, great episode altogether. And I got to admit, finally we have a Sung android not played by Brent Spiner for a change.
I think we'll have a little bit more on Fred later. But,
yeah.
So wait, why did you struggle to kind of get into it at first? You said it was the plot, or what was it?
I'm not entirely sure. I've been trying to define that myself ever since I watched the episode. I think it's just one of those things where you're watching it and you don't know what it is, but you just can't get into it at first, kind of things. I think that just happened for me.
Yeah, and look, a lot happened especially in the Red Directive, and I, like I said, I really need to go back and watch Under the Twin Moons again, because it was watching 2 episodes back to back with wine and pizza. I'm gonna just keep laboring that point, but really impacted my concentration towards the end. But yeah, look, there was a lot going on. So let's sort of, where did we kind of get to in the Red Directive? So, like Discovery normally does, it starts us with a big question, right? Like, and they kind of dive straight into it. It's like, all right, we're going to jump straight into this matrixy room and give you this, top secret briefing. All right, there's this technology. It's a Red Directive.
Yeah, I half expected Keanu Reeves and racks of guns to like just come forward out of nowhere.
Right. And there were, we'll probably jump all over the place with this conversation today, but there were elements of like other sci-fi franchises. I was watching Strange New Pod this morning, and they kept referring to that planet as Tatooine. And me and my friends, we were watching it.
I never picked up on that.
Yeah, exactly. The Tatooine planet. Yeah, I was like, oh, you're trying to be creative here, I guess. Kind of, not really.
Yeah, it was 100% Star Wars inspired, or I don't know whether it was intentional or not. Who knows? But so I digress. So we've got this first episode. It's really just kind of reintroducing these characters to us after 2 years, I think, since the last time we saw a new adventure with them. And like Discovery always does, we've been introduced to this big question. What was the Red Angel? What was the burn? What was the dark matter anomaly? And now it's this, all right, there's this technology that's been found on this ancient Romulan ship from the TNG era. And hey, guess what? They kind of actually said straight up this time, all right, this is what it actually is. It's this thing from the chase, right? It's
yes, and I love that they connected to that episode so much. That's one of my favorite TNG episodes.
Yeah, and a lot of people have said over the years that it really sucked that the chase never got any kind of follow-up, right? Like no direct follow-up. And so they've gone, all right, cool, we're going to do it. Let's bring the progenitors back. And, they're like, hey, this Romulan who is, who knows where the secret technology is, he's this one guy who was standing in the background of that episode. So, look, how do we feel about how the events of this played out, right? Because it really sort of established and it's almost like a chase all in itself, right? Because we've had a new character introduced in Rayna. We've had two mysterious characters, Mole and Luck. Mole and Luck were what they were called. Mm-hmm. And it's a chase. It's a chase again. The chase is on. There's mysteries and puzzles to figure out, and it's almost like we're going to get a season-long version of the chase. So tell me, like Mahendran, like as you were watching this on the plane, what elements of this story has really excited you, and what are you maybe a little bit cautious about as well?
I think I just really hope that they get to why do the progenitors look like the oh god, the Dominion people,
the changelings, yeah,
the changelings. Why does it look like one particular changeling? I really hope they answer that. I know. I think I love TNG. It's really awesome, and just that throwback to that episode. I agree with Jim. It's one of my favorite episodes of TNG, and I hope that they reveal more about it. And see, like, I don't know. I think like many people, the chase was a really great episode, but they just kind of it was like a one shot, and they didn't really follow up on it. Like how, I think it's cool that they're going to be going to Trill, and that they went to this one planet that was, but at the same time too, this was like something that the Romulan guy did too, right? So I don't know. I want to know more about how the progenitors developed to be like our peoples or like all these people. That's what I'm excited to learn about,
Yeah, okay, we're gonna. The big question for this final season is really just the origins of life in our galaxy. Or life itself. I believe they referred to it. That's what the secret it holds is. So, hopefully it doesn't turn into like a Star Trek V kind of like God at the center of the universe. What does God need with a starship? But you raised an interesting point there around
we do have Spock's brother though, and Spock's brother was involved with Star Trek V, so it could be some weird something. I'm sorry.
No. Look, you mentioned the fact the progenitors looked like the changeling, so I had to explain to a friend when we were watching it last night. And I don't know the actor's name, but it's the same actor who played the main female.
Salome Jens or something like that. I think was
yes. So, whether that was back then, right? They I think with episodic network television and no streaming and all that, I think they just generally relied on the fact that people wouldn't pick up on the fact that an actor was the same actor in very similar makeup to what they'd seen before. But
not very similar, the exact same makeup. Like they just counted on people being stupid back in the 90s.
Okay, I had this idea with my headcanon about that because I was like, okay, they're very similar, and maybe like they were like the first like race that the progenitors created. And they just kind of left him over there. And like, okay, we kind of screwed up. Let's go to another part of the universe because this part of the universe really screwed up. These changelings, and they look way too similar to us. We got to make them different than us. Sorry.
Or they could, or I've always had the theory they could be the exact same race. Like they are the race.
Interesting.
They could be. They could be.
I want to know. I want to know.
Enchanted.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to sort of see how that plays out. I mean, oh my god, imagine if they even found a way to bring her back to play the progenitor again. That would be pretty cool.
It would be. And I think also too, like the people that were involved with Picard, because like the changings were brought back in the end, like the final thing of Picard, right? The final season, and weren't there like similar writers in both Discovery and Picard? The people that are
I don't know. I mean, there are some. Yeah, there are like some of the same creatives and showrunners behind it. But I think Terry Matalas was very involved in Picard season 3. But look, yeah, there's definitely veins running through it, like, mentions to what was that Sung character who was introduced in Picard, who was, had an inscription
Yes.
in Fred's circuitry and all that kind of stuff. Jim,
Yeah.
Jim,
Sorry.
what are you thinking, right? So in terms of, what were it just specifically with the Red Directive? What were some of your like, okay, oh my god, this is the best thing ever? And what were some of the moments that made you go, oh, really? did you just love the whole thing?
Well, the really part would have to be the introduction of Rayner at first. Like at first, when they introduced the character, like with everything he was doing and how he was acting and behaving, I did not like the character at all. It wasn't until like the courtroom scene at the beginning of the Twin Moons or whatever the second episode was that I was like, this is a great character. I love this guy. Like, yeah, because like that was like the cringe for me in the first episode. But the parts I loved were like everything that made us realize, oh, they're connecting it to the chase, and of course, like I've already said, Fred. I mean, he was the best character in that episode entirely.
Yeah. No. Look, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with Raynar. But what were some of the real standout moments for you?
I'd say any scene involving Maul and Locke, just their character development is amazing.
Absolutely, and let's talk about that for a sec, because I did mention before that we've been introduced to a lot of new characters. So Maul and Locke. So what do we think is going on there, right? Because someone reminded me of this morning. The first time we meet them, Locke takes his helmet off, and his head is all kind of gelatinous and forms into, that final character. Mahendra, what are your theories on what's going on there?
I didn't even notice that.
Oh, really?
I didn't know. I'm like, oh wow. He reminded me of something from one of the Abrams character.
Yeah,
Abrams
the main baddies in Star Trek Beyond. I was getting those vibes as well. Yeah.
So I was just like, I was a little confused, and I was like,
I was
whatever.
getting a cross vibe between like
cool.
Saru and the Nakul there.
Okay. But so Jim, what was it? You said that you loved any scene involving them. What's really drawn you to them?
Oh well, the acting of those two is amazing, and plus, like, I think it was in the Twin Moons. Like they connect. I think it was Maul directly to Booker's history, connecting the two characters together, which I thought was just brilliant on the part of the writers. Like, I love how they were able to intertwine those two characters together and just like add depth to Booker's character on top of all of that.
Exactly, and we've got some people sounding off in the chat just saying Maul is brilliant. I think you've got to love the introduction of just an interesting baddie, right? Like someone who you're like, oh, okay, but I think that with the whole stuff that went on with Book and like going, oh, this is the closest thing to family I have and all that, I think Maul could turn out to be that kind of misunderstood baddie. I reckon she's going to have a bit of a redemption arc. Like she's going to start off bad and then, kind of come good.
And you could kind of, and that's what I kind of thought too. Like when Book revealed to them in that transmission that his name was Cleveland Booker, and you could see the look on her face, like transforming, like thinking, like I got the feeling that she was going to have some kind of redemption, like because you could see the gears turning in her head, like going, "Oh crap, I know this guy," kind of a thing going on there.
There's a history there. 100%. Not a direct history, but there's certain, and I think it's going to be a way to kind of peel back some of the layers of Book's character as well, and hopefully give him a bit of a satisfying arc and conclusion too. So they had, I think, Mole and Locke had some of the more interesting scenes, especially in the Red Directive. So you just got to trace like their introduction on the Romulan ship, which was just so cool to see a TNG Romulan scout ship, by the way. Although one of my friends did comment on the fact that it was just a redress of the Shenzhou set, which they've been doing for the entire series. I don't know if anyone else picked up on that.
I picked up on that too. Well, it's not like they're going to be able to pull the TNG sets out of storage, and I think half of them are gone, and the half that they still have are probably in bad shape.
Yeah. But they had a really strong opening, Mole and Locke, in that scene, and they had some cool weapons. They froze people on the spot. They had that whole scene where they, burnt through the floor and Burnham fell out, and then their ship.
Oh yeah, I love that scene with like Burnham going at full speed, falling full speed at space, like all the way up to like the view screen.
It was breathtaking. It was such a cool scene, and then their ship does this cool twisty thing and sends warp trails off in a million different directions. Like, very, very interesting introductions to those characters. One of my favorite scenes with them had to be, and we haven't really talked a little bit about this yet, was the scene with Fred. And I mean, justice for Fred, because I was loving Fred. I haven't looked up the actor's name, but they were doing such a fabulous job of giving 90s Brent Spiner vibes, but with like a real.
Oh, so much.
Yeah. Like,
and like props to the technical technical crew as well for doing that as well. Like the scene where you see Fred reading and they just do it with like the fast motion of like of the hands flipping the pages. That is like true 90s Trek with like whenever you would have to see Data reading something quickly. Like I was although I didn't say anything out loud inside when I was watching it, I was just screaming like a giddy school kid because I was like, yes, that is a TNG connection at its deepest.
Yes, I agree. Mahendran, did you have a similar reaction to Fred?
I was really disappointed that they killed him. I was like, man, why did you have to do that?
Yeah,
justice for Fred.
Upset. I was like, I want more of Fred. You know,
I was
and it's
a little
like
disappointed with that, where they just had like Fred awkwardly try and fire a weapon. Like, why couldn't they just use the super strength, the android super strength that he probably had, that like Data had? Like, I would have loved to see like that, where he would have, if he had picked up like Maul or Locke and just held them with his hand or something like that. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, it would have been cool to see him fighting, but like I was like, well, I guess he was this year for one episode, and that's what we get, and he's dead now.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be wanting to pepper these episodes with other TNG connections, and we will get to Easter eggs in a little
Although
bit.
I will say quickly about Fred, as sad as it was to see him go, it did show us the connections between those two characters there, that apparently they do have a strong, very strong, close bond between each other. Because like watching, I think it was Locke, like he absolutely wanted to shred Fred to bits for shooting Maul. Like I love,
but I don't know. I feel like Maul is, I don't know. It's more like a one-sided thing, you know, like that Tack or whatever that guy's name is, or what's his name? Or
Which
TikTok?
one?
I don't know.
TikTok.
Locke,
I don't know.
Maul and Locke.
Locke. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I felt like she's more focused on like the job and getting whatever she needs to get done. And like, you know, he of course is obsessed with her for whatever reason. I don't know. But like, I don't know if she feels the same way about him, you know, but she understands that. I don't know. It seemed very one-sided to me. You know, I feel like Maul is like I feel like she's an interesting character, but I think she might come up to be like really nasty later. Like there's something else about her, you know, even that in the second episode too.
Yeah, that's a nice
I felt so. Maybe because I was really tired and like exhausted. It could also be that, I don't know, but
Look,
whatever.
I'm as intrigued by them as I was by the big baddie in Picard season 3. It was and
Yeah.
I've forgotten her name, the changeling's name. But it'll come to me. But I was so intrigued by her from the moment she showed up, and I'm feeling the same about Mullen Locke, and that's what I think has one of the biggest hits for me about these first 2 episodes is I'm all in. Like there was some little moments, plot moments here that kind of were very, very old school Discovery, which kind of made me go, ooh, like, just like in Under the Twin Moons, where Saru and Michael are on the planet, they're getting shot at, and then all of a sudden they're having this, like, oh my God, I'm going to miss you so much. You need to choose a great first officer. Like, this is not the time to be having this conversation. But apart from that, like everything else that happened was really kind of hooking me in. And I loved going back to Fred again for a little bit as well. I loved that there was this whole, like, okay, there's been, after they removed the synth ban, there must have been like a whole generation or generations of Sung type androids, because Culper kind of acknowledges that, like, hey, he is like an original sort of Alton Sung android, and they're like really fascinated by all the circuitry and all that kind of stuff, because obviously the technology's become far more sophisticated with, especially with the body that they used for Grey. So, do you think there could be more Freds out there?
Well, I mean, he said that like it was like over 600 something years since he had seen something, right? Seen that thing. So maybe like,
True.
I mean, so I just wonder, like, yeah, I mean, but wasn't there that whole planet of like some robots or whatever that Picard was trying to help? And
Yeah, but they had more of a human appearance than
yeah,
Data.
yeah. So there wasn't like, yeah, I think, yeah, I think that was cool that yeah, you're right, Jim. They all look human, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I wonder if it's just like a throwback to TNG, to have that. Like, I wonder why. Yeah.
The whole, like I was saying before, like the whole thing sort of, they're really wanting to connect back with that 90s era of, and especially TNG for this final season. Moving on from that scene, so following on from that, we had the big action sequence, huge action sequence, the sandbikes, the avalanche of dust, the ships crashing into the sand to protect Tatooine with its shields. I'm gonna keep calling it Tatooine. Discovery is well known, I think, at this stage for having premiere episodes where a lot of the budget goes into creating these big action set pieces. They did it in the beginning of season 2. I think that there was a bit of it in the beginning of seasons 3 and 4 as well. How do you find these big action scenes in Trek? Because it's very, very cinematic, but it's also, nothing like we've ever seen in Star Trek before. Jim, do you feel that, this, does it belong in Trek? Do you welcome these kind of big action scenes in Trek? How do you find it?
Oh, I've always enjoyed great action scenes, so I welcome them with open arms. And I think, and I think, just like with anything with time and changing whatever, like I think it's appropriate for the time period for the time period of Hollywood we're in when it comes to these.
And yeah, and Discovery certainly gives us that nice mix of, big action versus more kind of thoughtful Star Trek. Mahendran, what was it like watching that on your plane trip to Florida? Was that like, do you need to go and watch that on a bigger TV now?
Yeah, maybe I will later. Yeah. No, it was good. I think like you, I'm drawn in a lot more to this season than last season. Like last season, I was just like, but and I was like, I gotta watch this. But now I'm just like, okay, I want to know what's happening. You know, kind of hits the ground running, and so, you know, but I think I agree with everything Jim said. You know, I can't really add anything more than what he said. I just feel like, yeah, I guess agree. So,
yeah, look, and it was good. The special effects looked fantastic. It was real edge of your seat kind of stuff. I made a joke to my friends who I was watching it with last night when that scene finished. I said, well, no wonder Paramount cancelled it. That must have cost a shitload. Like, they basically spent all of Paramount's money on that one scene. There was another very Discovery moment immediately following the end of that big action sequence, which was the Book and Burnham final breakup. It's like, you've just gone through that, and then you're gonna have your like, oh, you know, we're done moment. Do either of you? Okay, it might just be me. I sometimes find that a little jarring in Discovery when you just go from like all of that to all of a sudden like, wow, it's so weird seeing you again. Like, do you find that realistic or not? I mean, it is sci-fi after all. Mahendran, how do you feel about that kind of shift in tone?
Yeah, that was written really bad. And I was just like, what's going on? But you know what? Like, that was a really cool scene and stuff. And like, you know, I'm really disappointed actually, because I really like, you know, Books and Michael's relationship. And I just felt like, oh, they're just going to do this. Like, all right, whatever. You know, like, I don't know why they're doing this, but it's pretty lame. You know, I really thought their relationship was a lot better last season. I can't see, like, I don't get it. Like, it's kind of like, you know, with Picard, and when he sees Gates, he's like, hey, you know, baby stuff, kid thing. Yo. It's just like that. Like, well, this is just Trek, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Jim, is there hope for Michael and Book? Do they get back together at the end? Are they the Ross and Rachel of Discovery?
I don't think they're the Ross and Rachel of Star Trek, but I'm also convinced that even though that wasn't the greatly written scene, that wasn't the end of Michael and Book. I think that's just another chapter in their story. I'm convinced that the writers are gonna have a plot twist later in the season where they get back together.
Yeah, I mean, because he's hanging around, right? So the opportunity is definitely there. So moving on from that, so, you know, the episode kind of, you know, wound up with the whole like, all right, we need to go and seek out the twin moons, and I think we didn't get the trial with the president until the second episode. Before we sort of dive into a little bit more of Under the Twin Moons, I want to jump into Easter eggs, and we've kind of touched on a few of them already. And I was eating Easter eggs while I was watching this, so that's also a plus. But there were some fun little bits and pieces that I noticed. One of my absolute favorites was the self-sealing stem bolt, and the fact that it was the actual like replica of the prop from Deep Space Nine.
It would have been perfect if it had said no Jake Consortium on it.
Yes. Oh my god, that would have been amazing. So good. And the other props that they pulled out then at the same time, like it was like a proper Romulan tricorder from TNG as well. Like, so they really nailed those props, which was really, really cool. Mahendran, did you notice any other Easter eggs that kind of jumped out at you?
The self-sealing symbol was the one that I really popped out to me, you know, and just I think they had like a Romulan bird of prey, like that was the actual one, right? I think
it was the scout ship. So that was it was cool.
Yeah, so it was kind of cool to see that, and yeah.
And I think as well, like, yes, Amy.
The what?
Amy Nelson has just said in the chat that there was the reference to Beta Z too quite a few times.
Oh yeah, Beta Z,
because that's where Mole and Locke are going, but they're going to Trill, which is obviously going to be Gray and Adira's reunion, which is cool. There was also, so someone said that, and I can't remember the specifics of it, but apparently there was a reference to the episode Booby Trap with the fusion drive and the alien.
Oh, the Promelians.
Yes, that's it. Yes. So, and I think that was in Under the Twin Moons specifically. But yeah, that was.
Yeah, I still want to know how that Romulan was able to get that thing safely hidden in there, because that was a really heavily guarded planet.
I know. With the giant statue with the big head that just turned and like zapped the shit out of them.
Creepy. That head was creepy AF. Like seriously, that thing gave me the creeps at first. I thought it was a living creature, not a rock.
Exactly. And even so Rayner himself is a Kelleran, and which was an alien species which was seen in Deep Space Nine Season 2's Armageddon game. Because we were all like, we're like, well, what is he? He's kind of got over exaggerated.
Yeah, I was wondering what he was. Okay.
Vulcan
yeah,
ears.
I read about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you look at
those were one of I think those were one of the species that tried to kill O'Brien and Bashir, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it? Omega? Was that the one where they had like those things they were trying to get rid of, and then like they had that thing where like
they like cured it.
Saw him drinking coffee or something, and that's how they figured
cured a biological disease for two species, and then both species combined wanted to like suppress.
Yeah. That's the one. Okay, yeah. Oh, those were the Tellurites, is it?
Kellerans.
Okay, yeah.
Kellerans. So
I was wondering what that guy was from. I'm like, is he like a? Yeah, I thought he was like a really warped up Romulan. I'm like, whatever, I don't care at this point.
But how unusual to read. Like, it's interesting just to reach back into the lore and go, we're just going to pick that one character from that one standalone episode of DS9 that, probably not a lot of people remember. But, I mean, they did change the look a bit, thankfully. They didn't give them that very... whenever everyone had that weird kind of 90s hair with a weird bit of skin kind of going up the middle of it, like it was...
Yeah, they had that weird like temple head or like the teepee head. Yeah. I'm glad they got rid of that. That's good.
yeah. So they changed it up a bit. Anything else that you noticed that stood out? I'm trying to think if there were any other Easter eggs that it was I'll go and watch it again, and I'm sure I'll find a lot more, but Jim, Mahendra, any other Easter eggs that jumped out at you?
Oh, I'm trying to think. I don't know. Anybody saying anything in the chat? I hope.
No, we had Amy talk about Beta Z, which was cool, but no, that's all right. So let's pivot a little bit then to Under the Twin Moons. So it was good to kind of get a back-to-back because it was, it was nice to get a little bit of the meat in the story kind of.
And it started out with that amazing courtroom scene.
Yes. Yeah. That was really well acted, I feel. There was some really good performances from the actors there. And it was nice to sort of get that sense of, the Admiral's kind of respect for Captain Rayner. And, that there has kind of... Because what I've always found interesting is how has Starfleet really kind of existed in this kind of weird small little bubble, like for all this time, like during the burn for 100 years, right? But there's still been this hardcore, dedicated group of officers who have stuck by the Federation and stuck by Starfleet. And I found that scene and the reactions from the characters in that really highlighted just the ideals, why we should want to reach a future of the Federation and Starfleet.
That courtroom scene is what made me is what made me turn from not liking the Rayner character to liking the Rayner character, was the dedication and the passion for the Federation and Starfleet that comes across in the character. Plus also the admiration and friendship that you can see between the Admiral and Rayner, combined with the Admiral also trying to temper him in as well at the same time. Yeah,
exactly. And it's, you didn't, because it would be easy to think that he's just an asshole based on on the first episode, based on Red Directive. But that show, like, when, because come on, how many times have some of us been in a situation where someone's questioning a decision you made, you know, in the heat of the moment, but you could see that he.
Yeah, but I don't know if he was more of an asshole, but of just like a product of the times of that he was in, right? Like you know, like the Federation was falling apart. They were more warlike, right, and more aggressive. You know, and I think it's just, I think that's what I kind of find interesting about his character, just that, you know, he, like, they're like, you know what, this is not like it was like 10 years ago, they tell him, and he hasn't changed. Like, you know, it's just kind of like, sometimes it's hard for people to change, you know? And so, like, I think it's cool that they showed this person who isn't perfect that can still have another opportunity, I guess, you know?
Yeah, it actually kind of reminded me a little bit of, and this might be an Easter egg, it might not, it kind of reminded me of what the TNG episode with the Phoenix and Ben Maxwell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably not quite Ben Maxwell. Like,
yeah, I didn't think he was. I didn't think
that was Riker's old captain.
No, it was
O'Brien's old captain from the Cardassian War.
Yeah, I didn't think it was an exact copy, but I saw shades of it.
Yeah, I can see how you would have gotten that. So we also, moving on from that as well, I think this episode really kind of brought Tilly back front and center, because, you know, she went on a little bit of a holiday at the academy in the last season, but Tilly's back now, and I've always personally had a bit of a soft spot for Tilly. I know that there are some people out there who the character doesn't vibe with very well, but. How did we feel about seeing Tilly back, solving problems, getting drunk on Andorian champagne and flirting? Like, how did we? That scene was hilarious, but
and having an awkward conversation with someone that apparently she had a little bit of a romantic interest in.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious, but like sometimes I find Tilly really annoying, and I felt like that was bordering on annoying, you know, but.
Yeah, wasn't a huge fan of that scene where it was clear she was drunk and she was trying to, and she was talking to the guy she was interested in. I thought awkward comedy from awkwardness, and I've always thought this is not funny, but that's just me. But so I kind of had to power through that scene, but I still love seeing Tilly. Like, she's my favorite character in Discovery, so it's amazing just seeing her in general. I'm sad that she wasn't in the show for most of last season.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Tilly polarizes people. She does. I think so. Like, I know my mum is a big Star Trek fan, and she hates Discovery because of Tilly, not because of anything else. Just because.
Yeah, I don't hate her, but I just find her annoying. I'm like, what's going on with you, Tilly? I don't understand her. I guess that's what it is.
I remember there was talk with the character. I remember, like, when the character was first introduced at the start of the show, there was talk with, like, could the character in the portrayal possibly be related to autism or something like that. But I don't think that lasted very long.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's quite that. I think Tilly is a character who is. She's actually she's brilliant, right? And I think there's a portrayal there of, like, well, here is this amazingly brilliant woman who's also, like, in her personal life, she's not aware of her brilliance is probably the thing with Tilly. I love what Amy Nelson has just said in the chat, that, you know, she was quite radiant, like her scenes, you know, where she would, you know, because she's really got so much more confidence now in her own ability. Amy also said every character needs a drunk scene, because there was some lines in that scene that she does do those.
This is not her first drunk scene. She gets drunk a lot. Okay.
What does she say? She's like, "Shut up, champagne!" Like, when she's talking to that guy.
Shut up, Shem. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe I don't like her because it's just like she's just really awkward and weird sometimes, and I guess relate to that. I guess, like, being awkward and weird and not able to be social. It's like, I don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of characters in Discovery who that people either, they either like or they dislike. I'll stand by the fact that I'm a Tilly fan, but I can see how she might rub some people the wrong way.
Yeah,
So
I don't hate her, and I just find her just
Yeah.
like, I think her awkwardness just is like, oh, I don't like when I do that. So can you stop?
Okay. Yeah. You find it like, oh, is it hitting too close to home or anything like that? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
oh, I see Tilly in me. I don't like my Tilly. So that's all. Anyways.
Fair enough. So this episode, Under the Twin Moons, was very focused on, kind of continuing the chase, right? So we've got the hidden message from the Romulan scientists from 800 years ago, and we're going to find this planet. We're going to go and find, the next little bit of the puzzle, which is hopefully going to lead us to, I'm guessing the home of the progenitors, or where their technology is hidden. Like, what are we actually hunting for with the progenitors? Like, are we after their technology, or do we just want to know more about their origins? Like, what do we think we're actually on the hunt for here, Jim?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, I go back and forth. I've debated back and forth with myself that it could be either one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what about you, Mahendran? What do you think we're on the hunt for with the progenitors?
I mean, I think definitely Starfleet and Section 21 is on the hunt for the technology. It's very clear. That's why that they were so involved, especially in the first episode. And I mean, I think for, Burnham's character, maybe it's more like discovering this thing, like the origins, because she's more of the scientist, But I guess it depends who's going about it. I don't know. I'm just curious what happens. I think it's really interesting. I just hope it's not something lame. That's all. Please don't be something lame.
Please don't be something lame. Yeah, it's it'll be interesting. I've seen a few people kind of comment on that on social media around, don't be the same explanation as the bird, right? Like, give us a payoff at the end of this that's going to be really, really, really worth it. I mean, you can kind of understand the race for their technology, right? Like, if it's known that the progenitors were responsible for that they were a civilization that lasted for eons, and they were responsible for seeding life throughout the whole galaxy, they have some secret to our existence, to the galaxy, to the universe, that, in the 32nd century, we still haven't quite figured out, right? We're still just sort of charting our own region of space when you think about the universe as a whole, because even in season 4, it was still impossible to leave the barrier to our own galaxy. So, perhaps there's this but then is it a race for power as well, right? So the Federation is like, well, we don't want the power to fall into the wrong hands, because there were some interesting references there to the power dynamics that are at play in the 32nd century. They mentioned the Tholians. They've mentioned the Breen.
I think they mentioned the Breen also.
Multiple times they mentioned the Breen.
Yeah.
So do we think we might get to see some of those, or do we want to see some of those power dynamics at play? Do we think we're going to see the Breen? Do we think we're going to see the Tholians again? What do we think is going to happen there?
I'd like to actually see a Breen in person, not just the
With the mask on.
Yeah, not just the suit and the mask. Thank you, Mahendran. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I want to know what's under that mask.
Yeah. Amy agrees that she thinks that we're hunting for the device or technology that they use to spread their seeds through the stars in that regards. And she's also said, I'm thinking that this progenitor device is just a red signal. I bet there will be twists into something different we haven't seen, which would be good. It'd be good. But yeah, going back to the Breen, I also heard someone say oh, maybe we'll finally get to see the Breen homeworld as well, because it's supposed to be this really interesting space that's, you know, uninhabitable to most other humanoids. So it'll be interesting to kind of see, because the whole thing with the progenitors is it's kind of the sci-fi explanation as to why the whole galaxy is humanoid. And if they were only seeding our galaxy, then that maybe explains why life in other galaxies is potentially so radically different, like we saw with the species 10C in season 4. But that also leads me to think that we might get a little bit more of this whole, you know, like new age version of the chase. And, you know, could we wind up with the Breen, the Tholians, maybe finally the Klingons and the Ferengi and the, you know, the Emerald Chain, like all these races, like all trying to, you know, get to the source of the progenitor's power. I personally would love to see something like that, something that kind of brings the whole Trek universe together for the end of Discovery. That's my.
But I mean,
theory.
I thought that this whole chase thing was done by that Romulan guy. It wasn't done by the progenitors, right? Like, wasn't he the origins of this, or was that?
Yeah, I think it was he found the technology and then decided to, and then must have realized the power was too great even for his own empire. So he hit it and then disappeared. I think that's what they said happened.
Yeah.
Like I thought he was the one that was following the. Yeah, like that's what I'm wondering about. Like I just like like how. Anyways, there's like a lot with that, but like,
yeah. So I just got really excited then talking about
with just the fact that he. I'm sorry to break your excitement and to like be so real about stuff.
I know.
You know, that's what I do to people. I just smash their reality.
One thing I just hope they don't do with this season what Picard season 3 did and switch villains mid-season.
Yeah, they did kind of, didn't they, a little bit, which was kind of disappointing. You know, but that's kind of common. You see that in a lot of like story arcs where it's this one big bad, but then it was someone else pulling the strings the whole time. I kind of hope we don't get that. Like it'd be good if we
as much as I don't want that, I kind of hope we do get that, because we never did get a follow up to the end of season 1 of TNG with those aliens that with the quills that come out of the back of the neck. That would be cool to see them come back potentially.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess got like an Indiana Jones vibe a little bit too, mostly because Book, like in that Maul, right? Book and Maul, because like Maul was like the daughter of his mentor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, there was kind of a little Dread Pirate Roberts thing going there with like Cleveland Booker the 4th, and now he's Cleveland Booker the 5th or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, that's.
I've actually Mahendran, I've actually gotten Indiana Jones vibes since the first trailer for this season. They've really sold this season as this big, epic, you know, almost 80s movie style adventure and treasure hunt. That's definitely been the way that they've tried to sell this. Moving to, I think, what was kind of like the bulk of Under the Twin Moons, which was the, you know, the whole scene with Saru and Burnham on that planet, or on the I can't remember if they were on the planet or on the moons, but you know, trying to, you know, dodge all the booby traps and find the hidden technology that Mol or the hidden piece of the map that Mol and Lockton find. That was kind of our big action set piece for this. And Amy said earlier on in the chat that she actually doesn't care too much for the big action scenes, but it's there. So, you know, it is what it is. And I think, Jim, you kind of said, you know, these action sequences are kind of what's needed to draw in a modern audience, which is fine. How do we feel about this scene though? Like, because there was a lot of planet hopping, and I don't know. It was kind of cool to see this more kind of like, oh, decode this, move this. Oh, the Romulans actually, no one came in through the front door. The trusted people came in through the back door, so it must be behind the statue and all that kind of stuff. How did you find this? Was this a satisfying kind of sequence of events for you, Jim?
Yeah, I thought it was like it. There was a very Da Vinci Code kind of vibe to part of the sequence, like trying to figure it out, and plus with like when it was like running and gunning and shooting, like I don't know the number of times we've seen it, but we actually got to see Saru run, which is great to see, but it hasn't happened often, and it's got to be really hard to do in those heels in those heels that Doug Jones and whatever stunt double he have to wear.
And wasn't it satisfying that for once Burnham kind of got shut, because like Burnham always goes, no, I'll do it because your fiance will be devastated, and it's always Burnham sort of throwing herself on the fire.
She really wanted to do that again, and Saru just with pure logic shut her down instantly, and she knew she had no counter argument. I could tell that, and I loved that. Like, you have a really good point there.
Yeah, I sort of said, and then when we saw Saru running, I turned to all my friends and said, "Oh wow, Saru's a velociraptor! Like, look how quick he like."
Like, the only other time I remember ever seeing that is in that season 1 episode on Pavo, or whatever the name of the planet was, when Saru like had lost all his fear or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Mahendran, what kind of stood out for you with this whole? Because it was, I think as well, there was an element of this is supposed to be Saru's last mission as Discovery's first officer, right? Because he's getting jiggy with the Vulcan president, and he's and he's taking that diplomatic position. How did you feel that this was like a satisfying kind of conclusion to the Burnham and Saru arc? Because they haven't always been the best of friends.
No, I really liked it. I think I just was wondering why his quarters are still there on Discovery. That's the only thing. Like, why are they going to keep it around? But
well, they can't catch the swamp, whatever, when it's in full bloom, so it's got to stay for a while.
I don't know. It just seems weird to me. I'm just like, that seems like a perfectly poor waste of space. But that's just my logical brain being like, it's a freaking TV show, man. Chill the fuck out.
I know far too many gay men who live in inner city 1-bedroom apartments that are just chockers full of plants. So that's all it reminded me of. But anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know that many gay men like that. Period. So anyway, nonetheless, very interesting comment. So
I was watching it with a bunch of gay men, and we all resonated. So sorry, go on. I distracted there.
It's okay. Hey, now I understand. But yeah, what was I going to say? I think it's. I really like how Saru and Burnham's relationship evolved over the series. There was at the beginning there was animosity, and now like they're like best friends. Very close, and I think it's it's nice that Saru's found his person and they're gonna do something. But I think what I liked about that in terms of just the chase part of it, just just this. Like, there isn't just, I don't know, there's some like intelligence needed to find this thing. Like, there's something that Burnham knows, and Saru knows that Maul and this other person doesn't know. So I thought that was kind of cool.
And there was actually a lot for Saru. I mean, because Saru has been one of my absolute favorites through all of Discovery.
Yeah, I love Saru. He's great.
So, one, I hope we don't get less of Saru throughout the rest of this final season as a result of this. But how do we feel about like where his character's kind of coming to? You kind of touched on it a little bit just then, but obviously the relationship with Trillic? I can't remember the Vulcan president's name, or Navarre's president's name. I should
Arena.
say. Yes, that's it. Yes. That's obviously come a long way since the gentle kind of holding of hands at the end of season 4 to I'm going to mind meld with you to find out what you're really thinking on the dance floor. To
That was funny.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny.
I was like, that's a Vulcan getting freaky, but that's but it's come a long way, right? So but it was really interesting, the sort of tenderness of it, because it's not like the real, like, kind of hot, passionate kind of relationship that Spock and T'Pring have in Strange New Worlds. It's far more mature and tender and loving, but she still stays so very, very Vulcan through it. Are you enjoying sort of seeing Saru find this kind of true love in a Vulcan, Jim?
I'm definitely enjoying Saru finding someone to spend his life with. Yeah.
And what about you, Mahendran?
Yeah, I think it's really sweet. It's just like Saru. I think he's like one of my favorite characters on Disco, and it's good to see him have like a happy ending. I feel like he suffered a lot though too. I feel like through the series, I don't know, but I feel like it's good that I don't know. Yeah, I feel like he's been through a lot. Like, a lot of things have happened to him that have been kind of rough, So
yeah, and he's probably, I don't know, for me personally, had one of the more sort of satisfying arcs out of all the characters. So look, the episode has kind of concluded with, we know now that Mol and Locke are on their way to Beta Z, when really the last piece of the puzzle that Michael and Saru found says, actually, no, you need to go to Trill. Raynar's become the first officer. And to kind of wrap our discussion up for today, Jim, what do you think happens next? And is there anything you don't want to see happen next?
I think there'll be a confrontation on Trill between Discovery and Mol and Locke, because I think they'll figure out pretty damn quickly that what they're looking for isn't on Beta Z. And what I don't want to see is, I definitely don't want to see everything center around Michael Burnham again, because they could very easily fall into that trope, which they've done in past seasons. And something I do want to see, expand out the bridge crew a little more, have them participate in it to a bigger degree.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if Mol and Locke kind of cotton on, right? Because clearly the jump drive, the spore drive, is not still big knowledge, because there was that whole like, oh, we're going to can the jump drive or the spore drive program, and when Discovery arrived, they were like, how did that Federation ship get here so quickly? So I wonder if there will be a little bit more of those threads.
It's probably still classified.
Well, because they mentioned a different type of drive as well, that they've got the pathway drive or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, because Raynar says that his ship doesn't have a pathway drive, and at some point or another, and then they mention that there's the pathway program. So I don't know if we'll see any more of that. Mahendran, what do you think is going to happen next, and what do you want to make sure doesn't happen next?
I'm looking forward to seeing Gray, and I think Adira is Adira the
Yep.
her part.
Adira's the one.
Their partner. Yeah, I really like that relationship a lot. That was one of the things I liked so much about the Disco, that relationship, and seeing. I mean, I hope Stamets and Wilson Cruz's character kind of come back and they all interact together. I thought that was really cool just to see all that. It's almost like a pseudo kind of queer family thing, which I thought was awesome. And then I don't know, like I don't know how Maul and Locke will figure out that they're on the wrong planet. Like I feel like they're just following things. I guess hope like I don't know. I feel like I want to see something funny happen to them, like some goofy thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna figure out how to get to Trill. But yeah.
I think whatever it is, it's set up to be something pretty exciting. And I love that you kind of talked about, it'd be good to explore a little bit more of Adira's relationship with Gray as well, because I actually found that was an interesting thread that kind of just got plucked away very, very, very quickly. And there are actually some really beautiful relationships in this show too. Amy's just said, Saru and Tarina are her favorites, as well as, and also really loves Book and Burnham. And then you've got Culper and Stamets and Gray and Adira. So there has been some really, really beautiful threads there. So that's it for our discussion today. We've gone a little over time, but we had 2 episodes to talk about, so I feel we needed to kind of get all of that out. So, Mahendran and Jim, thank you so much for joining the panel this week. Hopefully we see you on future episodes. Mahendran, I hope that you get some rest. Thank you so much for jumping in from your hotel room to be a part of the panel today. And for everyone at home as well, and everyone who's been joining in on the chat, thank you again. And if you're listening to the replay, I hope that you've enjoyed this. Please make sure that wherever you are enjoying this episode from, that you give BQN Podcast on YouTube a like and subscribe, or you like and rate this on whatever audio platform you're listening to. Tell your friends about it, because we'd love to increase our hive mind collective here on Let's Fly. And just another final reminder, that if you want to be on the panel with us, it only costs you $1 by heading to the BQN Patreon page, which is patreon.com/BQN. If you sign up, you will receive the link to actually be on the show, just like Mahendran and Jim were today. That's all the time we have today, though. We will be back at the same time next week to recap the latest episode, which will be season 3, which is called Janal, which should hopefully be really, really exciting. So make sure you tune in for that. And until next time, make sure you live long and prosper, everyone.